everybody. Welcome to Rana's Radar. Now, this is my podcast show. So, here we'll be having special guests, people who can't make it to the car shows. I'll be bringing them here and checking out what classic cars they've got and what beautiful stories is behind their cars and rides. Now, every week we're going to be trying to get a range of different guests, all our chats on classic cars, anything automotive. So, of course, this is brand new. This is the first episode of many more to come. So, I do hope you like it. Give me your thoughts, comment on what you think. And, of course, if you have a classic car and you've been better than that, if you've got an amazing story that you want to get on the radar, but you haven't been able to catch me at one of the shows, then reach out to me on Facebook or Instagram is the best way as well. And let's hear what you've got. And I'd love to come and have a chat with you and do an online interview just like this. So today we will be chatting with Mark Lipinski. We'll get him to join us very soon and check out what he has today with us and see the story behind Mark and his awesome truck. Okay, everybody, welcome back to Rana's Radar. Now, as I mentioned, we do have a special guest with us today for the first episode of my podcast show. Today, I'm joined with Mark Lipinski. Hi there, sir.
Hey, how are you? Good to see you again.
Good. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming. I appreciate this. I met Mark at the C10 Nationals a few weeks ago. And I mean, before even seeing Mark, before even seeing your truck, I heard your truck.
Oh, yeah. Get the loud one.
I heard it.
Cummings.
So that's why, I had to go there. I was in the middle of another interview and I said, what is that sound? I said, that sounds amazing. I have to go over there and have a look. And it's exactly what I did. And Mark and I were able to have a chat. And so, yeah, that drew me a lot to that. Now, Mark, you told me that you've been in the Air Force. So before we get to the truck, it's a beautiful build. You've done pretty much a lot of it yourself. So everybody, we're going to show you those pictures, the before pictures, the process, as well as the finished product as well. Before I get to the truck now, the thing that caught me is Mark's been in the Air Force for 20 years. Now, I do like planes. And correct me if I'm wrong, but if anybody is interested with cars and engines and the sound of it, they're going to appreciate the jets and the planes as well.
Oh, yes, definitely.
See, I'm no different. And a lot of people would sit inside a plane and they hold on to the armrests and, doing a little prayer maybe or waiting for that takeoff to be finished. But I sit in a plane and I'm waiting for that plane to take off just so I can feel the force of it,
Oh, yeah. I had the opportunity to get to work on those, I got to fly around on them as well. But to be able to say I got to work on them, keep them in the air and make sure everybody was safe on them, that was my whole job for 20 years. It was awesome.
Wow, that explains a lot. I mean, that would explain why you're able to then transition into building the trucks and the engines and working hands-on.
Oh, yes, definitely. I've always been a mechanical type guy. I've always liked to take things apart. My parents hated when I took things apart because I never knew how to put them back together when I was a young buck. But as I got older, I learned to put things back together the way they were. So it's very important in the aviation industry to make sure it gets back.
100%. And I'm glad that you were able to learn how to put them back together after taking them apart.
We're all fortunate for that, for sure.
Well, just recently, me and Mark were talking about the Virginia Beach. So I was recently at the Military Aviation Museum. I had to stop there. I was there with my family earlier this year. And I love classic cars. So obviously, I'm going to love classic planes as well. And if we have time at the end of this, I will show a little clip of my time at the museum. And me being me, of course, I had to get inside one of those small planes and get inside the pilot seat. So I did do that too. And we'll get Mark's thoughts on that. But Mark, so tell me about your time in the Air Force.
So I started back in 2000, end of 2002, going into 2003. Kind of fresh out of high school. I was an electrician. Well, I say electrician, I was an apprentice before I joined the Air Force. Didn't kind of know what I wanted to do. And then I heard of Air Force. My uncle had been at, my grandfather was out at Norfolk, Virginia, which is right there by Virginia Beach. He was in the Navy. And one thing he told me was join the Air Force. That's the way to go. He knew I was hands-on, taking things apart, wanting to learn deep into it. So I kind of followed what he said and went into the Air Force fresh out of high school. And I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to work on airplanes. So I started off there. I started my first duty station in Dover, Delaware. I worked on the biggest cargo plane we have in our entire fleet. So it was the C5. So I got the opportunity to be what they call a flying crew chief on those. So anytime that plane took off, I was on that airplane. If we broke anywhere, I was the guy to fix everything and get it back up in the air. Um,
Wow. So, coming from an apprentice, electrician apprentice, did they teach you a lot of the stuff on how to work with the planes?
no, not as an electrician. I was going to be like industrial and commercial, and then I realized they weren't going to pay for my school. They weren't going to pay for my medical. They weren't going to do really much of anything. So
Yep.
airplanes I thought was the safe bet. So went in that way.
Okay. And were you away from your family for periods of time?
Yeah, I was always I guess you can call it a homebody. When I was in Delaware, it was only 3 hours away from Virginia Beach, so I was there probably every weekend as much as I could. Um,
Yeah.
and then once I kind of, I guess you can call it, grew up a little bit, I stayed away, and I met my wife actually in Delaware. She was a jet engine mechanic, so she worked kind of the back shop, and we met, and I got orders to Spain, and then it was either keep her in Delaware or I'm going to go to Spain by myself. So 15 years later, we're still together. That's where I met her at.
That's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. Congratulations on that. I do want to share a picture, couple of pictures of your family with your beautiful wife as well. Let's have a look here. Can you see my screen there?
I can.
Yep. So tell us about this picture here. Who have we got?
So this is out actually in Louisiana. This was my last duty station right before I retired. My son's right there. He'd been 4 at the time. He just turned 5. This was. It looks like he got some award. Yeah, we went to a school for an award or whatever. And that's my wife of 15 years. Her name's Heather. Like I said, she was a jet engine mechanic, and when I went overseas, she came with me, and we were over in Spain for 4 years. We had my daughter. I've actually got 3 kids. This is my youngest. My daughter, she's getting ready to turn 12. That's her right there. That's I just got back from overseas. I've been gone for about six
Wow.
months, and the other previous
For
picture that
6 months, did you say?
yes, yeah,
Wow.
we were gone for 6 months. That's my middle boy, and that's my oldest daughter. So this was 2017. My son was just getting born, so I made it back within it was 6 days, and then he was born.
Wow. That is, I mean, that's awesome. That's absolutely awesome. I love that. I love the fact that your family was so close, but more than that, I love the fact that your wife Heather was also in the same field.
Yeah, it was.
So, did she help you with the truck?
She did. She actually did. She actually, she helped me actually do some of the painting on it. She helped me put the parts on there. Um, she kept me sane through most of it, even though a lot of it
Good
was.
on her.
Yeah, she definitely kept me sane through it.
Wow. Well, I mean, that's just awesome. I love that. I absolutely love that. And it's so nice that you did that and you did that for so long, 20 years.
20 years. It went by quick, and I know it sounds like a whole lot, but it was a blast. There was definitely its ups and its downs. It was a lot more ups than there was downs. I loved it, so it treated me well, and I gave my 100% in everything I did out there. So I loved it.
Good on you, mate.
It was time to do my own thing, I guess, be my own boss. So I made the
Well, good
decision.
on you because this is why we're here. You've transitioned from so many years doing such a great job, building a family for yourself, a beautiful family, and now we're getting into vintage tin customs. And before we get into what is vintage tin customs, we have to talk about the truck that drew me to you at the C10 Nationals. Now, before I show everybody what the truck is, of course, you might have seen the interview on Rana's Radar, but let's have a look at the original truck of what it was before you got your hands on it. Okay, here we go. So, Mark, tell us, what are we looking at here?
There she is. That truck actually came out of North Dakota. I was stationed in North Dakota for about 7 years. I met a very good group of guys up there. We kind of started a little small car club. We had a paint guy, we had a body guy, we had the mechanics guy. We had probably 8 or 10 of us that just kind of met on every Thursdays, and we just kind of came together to try to build, cars and trucks. I got this from a good friend of mine. His name was John Foster. He had this sitting out on his farm, and I did some work for him, and he kind of gave me this truck. It's a 1963 C10. Didn't have an engine in it. Had a four-speed granny tranny is what we call it in there. But what you see right there is how I got it. The backdrop's actually in Louisiana.
No, that's not what I saw. That's for sure. That's not what I saw at all.
No, it definitely transformed. It took us about a year to do it, but it definitely transformed from something. It sat at my buddy's house, and another friend of mine that had been stationed with the North Dakota, he moved down to Louisiana. He got orders out there, so me and him drove up to North Dakota together to pick this truck up. We went for a buddy of mine. He was retiring. He was an E9 in the Air Force. He was a good supervisor of mine. So we drove up there for his retirement, and I brought a trailer, and we brought this thing back down with me because I knew I wanted to do it. I wanted to work on it.
Wow. You wanted to work on it. As soon as you saw it, you had a vision that, okay, I know what I'm going to do with this. Is that what it was?
It's exactly what it was. I knew I wanted something low. I wanted something that was mean. I wanted something that's going to draw everybody's attention. So I had a
And
vision.
you were thinking spikes.
Yes. Whew.
All right, all right. Now, I've got a ton of things to show. So you were very hands-on with this project. Now, I want to show everybody. Is this yourself or is this one of your buddies?
Yeah, this is me. And I actually I built I call it a shed, but everybody else calls it this big shop. It was a 24 by 24 wooden shop. So I was doing welding in a wooden shop. I definitely had fire extinguishers ready, but I had half the truck in this shop, and then I had half the truck in my garage. My wife never got to use the garage, so
Poor thing. So tell me, I mean, I'm very curious. You're telling me you had the truck in half. You just
yeah.
what, right down the middle, or are we talking the cab and the bed?
So I had the cab and the frame. So I had the cab in in the garage, and then I had the frame kind of off into the shed you see here. And as I was piecing things together, I would move it from one side of the yard to the other, put the parts on it, and then move it back to the shed wherever I needed to work it. So it was a lot of back and forth to get it right.
And what are you doing exactly here in this picture?
So this we're building the bed skeleton. So basically, from the picture you saw, we had the back of the bed raise up, and then the front section is actually like a toolbox section that holds the battery and just I guess you can call it hold my groceries. So that was just building the
Yep.
bed portion of it, the wooden bed part for it.
I did love that. And you guys have to see the full interview, which is in part two of the C10 Nationals. I believe it's in part two. I'll put the link on it at the end of this, in the description for this video as well, because you do get to see and we joked about this because it was a cooler. Was it a cooler with the
Yep,
battery inside?
it was. I actually found that at an old antique store. I kind of had the battery back there, and I was going through an antique store, and I found that thing, and I said, you know what, that'll hold the battery very well, and kind of gives it that whole theme and that whole vibe of the nostalgia and the vintage tin concept.
100%. It complemented the entire look of it. So we've got you there welding, and I'm curious now, what on earth are you doing standing in?
Oh yeah, so the whole roof of this, so it was in North Dakota, so it didn't have a lot of rot. I mean, typical places these C10s will rust in the cab corners and around the bottom of the doors, but it didn't have much of that because North Dakota, they don't use a lot of salt in their getting rid of their snow, so it was pretty well preserved. However, you can't really keep the rats and the mice from trying to find a nice warm place to live. So what they'll do is
Of
they'll
course.
go up the A pillars where the window meets, and they'll sit up on top of the roof, and they make their nest and everything. And then what happens is it rots out. So the whole top of that truck had to be replaced. So I figured if I just stand on top of the engine bay, I could get a better shot at welding that thing closed. So the whole roof has been replaced on that.
Okay, wow. Wow, that's brilliant. And here we are again.
Yeah.
Now, what's happened? The windshield here, did you put a new one?
Yep. It's actually the stock windshield, but I was just replacing all the seals around it. So after we did the roof work, we decided let's go ahead and put that windshield in there. And this is kind of the mid phase of us doing. That's my buddy John. We actually met him over in Spain as well. When me and my wife, he was actually my wife's supervisor at the time, and he got orders to Louisiana, and I met him down there. Oh man, it had to have been 8 years
Wow.
later, and we just picked up kind of where we left off. And he wanted to learn trucks, and I figured I needed a hand, and I was going to teach him everything I knew.
Yep, it definitely looks like you needed a hand holding that windshield.
That thing, that
Now,
thing kicked our butt every which way, but we got it.
I mean, it still didn't take you that long. You're saying about a year.
Yeah, I would say with COVID, it kind of helped me out a little bit, kind of being home, and we kind of worked from home a lot. But yeah, it took
Hmm.
me just about we'll call it a year from the time you saw it from that previous picture to what you saw in Tennessee.
Right. It's because something like this can take many, many years. But if you had the time, but also if you've got friends and that around you, then that would have helped.
Oh, I did. I had a very good family and friends following me, helping me out doing this stuff. So if it wasn't from them, it would have taken me easily 2.5, 3 years to do this. But a lot of late nights, a lot of cold brews, and a lot of pizza. We got it done.
A lot of pizza to get you through.
Yeah.
Now, Mark, tell us what part of making and building, especially the engine, we're going to get to the engine part in a minute as well. How much of this translates to your time in the Air Force or working with the planes?
I would say a lot of it. As far as the mechanic portion, as long as you know what it's supposed to do and you can kind of get the steps in between the beginning and the end, then it's pretty simple. It's a diesel motor is kind of what a jet engine is. It's got a turbine, it's
Hmm.
got the gas, it's got the fuel injection, and then you gotta spit it out with the exhaust. So um, I've always been kind of a self-taught kind of customizer, I guess you can call it. It took me lots of years to figure it out through trial and error, and a lot of mistakes. But I wouldn't be where I am today without the mistakes. So a lot of it translated for sure, especially the attention to detail. Um,
Attention to detail. Because, I mean, other people can put engines inside a truck, but then it may not sound like it has been tuned correctly. And that's when that fine attention to detail comes into play.
yep, I got that from old '94 Dodge. Found it out in Texas and had just under 300,000 miles on that truck, and me and this guy and another couple of buddies, we tore it down all the way down to the block, put all new pistons in there, ran it through the machine work, and built it up. It looks like it's still old, but internally, she's brand new,
She's brand new.
brand new.
Did you say it was a Cummings?
Yeah, it's a 12 valve. It's out of 1994 Dodge. It's a 12 valve Cummins.
Nice, nice. And how powerful would this motor be? I mean, I did hear it, but in numbers wise,
So right now this one's sitting about 480 horsepower, and it's sitting probably around 600 foot-pounds of torque. I got everything kind of turned down, I guess you can call it, because, like I said, it's a brand new motor, brand new fuel injection on it too. So I was kind of babying it until I can get the break-in period. But the plan is to get it up to about 600 horsepower and 800 foot-pounds of torque. So I want to break them
okay,
rear
okay.
wheels.
Well, I appreciate that. So, as someone like who's learning about the engine, so when you say you're babying this, in order to make it more powerful, you got to just do it slowly and gradually, so you don't blow the motor. Is that my understanding?
Yeah, so the bearings inside of there, the pistons are going to run on your crank and your cams and all that stuff. They're brand new, so you want to kind of break them in. If you hammer it down real hard and turn everything up, you can wear the bearings a different way, kind of where they can start leaking and stuff. So if you slowly just kind of keep wearing them in, I usually about
Hmm.
400 or 500 miles. After that, then I'm just going to turn her straight up. But yeah, you just want to break in.
Okay, okay. So this is going to get louder.
Oh yeah, louder, faster, and a lot meaner.
Faster. Okay, we are going to see the truck in motion. I think it was on the autocross in one of your reels on Instagram. Everybody, do check out Mark's Instagram. It's under custom vintage tin custom. So it's
Yep.
vintage underscore tin underscore custom. It's pretty cool. You get to see a lot more of the truck. But I do want to show one reel that caught my eye, and I had to ask, what is going on? So let me try and get that video up for you guys. And there's a lot of smoke coming from the engine. That's all I can say. And I was like, what's going on here? Okay, everybody. So this is Mark's Instagram. It's pretty cool. You get to follow a lot of the truck's journey. Where are we?
This was the very first time we started this thing up. I just got it rebuilt. We were putting it back together, and this is we've got you see the jumper cables just running to my other truck, and we just started it off. So all the assembly lube, everything you take is finally starting to come out of that motor.
So is that something that we can expect for any new motor that has just been put in when you're first starting it off?
Yeah, typically you're going to get the smoke and the fire, the kickbacks on, it kind of misfiring, I guess you can call it in a way. But yeah, it's pretty typical. After this, I didn't have a radiator, have any coolant. I just wanted to hear this thing fire off and make sure I did it right. So yeah, it and this was
And of course,
actually,
you were excited. So
oh, way excited. I was ready to get it going. So we ran it for about 30 seconds, and then we kind of killed it when we didn't want to lock it up too soon.
and why the spikes? Now, you've got awesome spikes on it. I'm going to try and see if I can put the front end of the video here of the picture. There we go. See everybody, now that's the front end of the truck. I mean, it like Mark, you wanted to get a mean look,
I
and
did.
well done, sir. You achieved that. You've definitely got a nice mean truck there.
I wanted people to know I was coming.
And to run out of the way.
Yeah.
Now, the back fenders, they're custom, aren't they?
So they're off a
You've made them wider.
they're off a 1974 step side. So the step sides, those fenders actually sit even with the cab of the truck. So you have that little step to kind of get into, that's on the side of the truck to get inside the bed, right? Those came off a 74 um, single wheel truck, and I always liked that square body look on the back half of those. So I found a set of these, and I kind of just cut and molded it to kind of fit the body lines of that 63, and I think it came out great.
It did. It definitely came out great. Now let's show everybody just the interior of the truck here. What have you done here, and what have you kept stock?
So the dash minus the gauges themselves, all of that is stock. I had one of the local upholstery people do all the upholstery work on it. Let's see what we got in there. The steering wheel stock. I haven't changed that thing out yet. I need to get that thing changed out. It looks like, if you look, it looks like there's still a clutch pedal in there, and then it looks like it's a manual truck. I wanted that vibe because I wanted people to think that it was original and that it was a 4 or 5 speed truck. It's actually
Yeah.
automatic, and I left the clutch pedal in there. But
Wow,
yeah,
it's
other than
automatic, so
just,
even I could drive this.
oh yeah, easily.
I would fit right in, honestly. I think I would fit right in. And the tall shifters are very popular with you guys and your pickups.
Yeah,
What's up with that? What
you got to
what
make.
happened to having the comfort of having just a shifter down here as your hand is on the armrest in the middle of the console? You guys just want to have it right up here and just
You got to
get
sit
a
back
workout
and you
on
just
the
got to
arm. Is
hang
that what
on
it's
for a little
about?
bit. Yeah. I figured you're only going to shift it once or twice, going into reverse or drive. The rest of the time, you're just sitting there doing nothing else. So wanted to make a statement with something. So I thought that was a cool way to do it.
It suits the pickups. It really suits the trucks. I mean, when a shifter is up there, like you said, like if you're only going to be using it when you take off or when you reverse and go parking, other than that, it just goes with the overall look. We're not looking at a Corvette or a Mustang where it's sleek on the inside. The
Yeah.
trucks themselves have got such a unique look.
Yeah, that's definitely what we were going for. It it baffles a lot of people because, like I said, they still think it's a 5 speed or a 4 speed. So yeah, if I was sitting there all day trying to shift gears, that'd be a pain in the butt, and I probably would have changed some things up. But no,
Yeah.
it's definitely an attention grabber. That's what we were going for.
And on the topic of looks, now the rust here has been done so well. And every time I still think about it, I still laugh. I still have a chuckle because the rust. Now you've done that with something that's in a lot of people's cabinets: mustard, Dijon
Yes,
mustard.
Dijon.
Now this is the mustard bottle that you used to achieve your rust look. Mark, tell me again, because I can listen to this over and over again, like using mustard to get this look. And you know what? As a matter of fact, before you go on, I was at when I was at Cruising the Coast, I met another group of people who had restored I think it was a Chevy pickup. Could you imagine if it was Ford and I said it was a Chevy pickup?
Ooh.
Like, no, I can't say that. I'm pretty sure it was a Chevy pickup. But what they did do is also the man mentioned mustard. Or did I mention that to him? I can't remember it, but I'm never going to forget about the mustard getting the patina look. So tell us about this. When did you come across this? How did you know about this? And how effective is it?
So I had a shop out in North Dakota. I didn't do full custom trucks. I did more like the lifts and the lowering kits. Um, and I worked on some side projects myself in my own shop or whatever. And I was looking to try to play around with like the patina look and this, that, and the other, right? So I was just kind of, I had a small little paint booth. I didn't know what I was really doing with most of the stuff. You can go in there and put your base coat down there, right? Your base is what, really what's under it. And then if you're doing a two tone, your base coat would be in this scenario would be the brown. I wanted that rust look to come through, so I used a brown, and the top coat was the blue, right? So I was playing around with a bunch of stuff in my shop. I was using some reducers, I was using some oils, I was trying everything, and it wasn't giving me that like flaky, just kind of like it's been sitting weathered for a while. So
Yeah.
uh, I had a small like refrigerator in my shop, and I took a break. Took my mind off some things. And I was sitting there, and it was funny because I had a hot dog, and I was eating a hot dog, and I had mustard, ketchup, and that's about all I had in this refrigerator. And I said, I wonder. So I started googling, what are other people using? Nobody used mustard or anything like that. So I grabbed it and I started dabbing it on there because the way it dried on my plate just kind of looked funny and crackly. And I said, well,
That's true.
let's see
Yep.
what happens, right? So I sprayed a base coat. I had a old gas tank off a motorcycle, so I sprayed a base coat and kind of the edges and around the gas tank filler neck. I put this mustard and I put a base coat, or I put my top coat on there, and the top coat doesn't adhere to it, right? So it'll kind of let it dry, and right before it actually flashes off, in the sense, right? I just took a rag, or wet rag, and that reactivated the mustard to kind of, because it didn't dry. It just kind of kept a bubble on there, and I started peeling it off, and it just had that effect. So,
Wow. Wow,
um,
that's
and plus it's only
I'm
like
thinking you're going to
$2 at
tell me a
Walmart.
story where
So
you where you might have actually come across somebody else who did this, and there is some kind of, which I guess there is some kind of chemical in there that helps it, but you were legit just going into the refrigerator, getting some sauce for your hot dog, and
that's
then
it.
you found mustard, and your problem got solved.
I'm not even a Dijon guy, so I don't even know why it was in there. That's the funny part. So I was using
But you
reducers.
did
I
an
was using
awesome
all kinds of
job.
stuff. Yeah, it was just $30 for a bottle of reducer, or $40 for some whatever else I was using. $2 at Walmart. I was sold.
Oh, that's awesome because it achieved such a good look to it. I love the patina look. I do love it. It draws my attention, and especially when you can see ones that are an absolute original looking, like
Yeah,
you've achieved that. It looks good. It looks really good, and especially with the colors you've chosen as well, it stands out. I mean, nobody can look at that and say that's an old truck. They know that's a custom truck.
yeah. I definitely appreciate it. It's funny because everybody that sees it, they ask me, are you gonna paint the truck? And they don't realize I've painted it. It's ready. It's ready to
No,
go.
no,
The guy,
I would never ask that. I know it would never even cross my mind. But I guess I saw it in person. So I
right?
was able to see and appreciate the overall look of it, especially, I mean, with the spikes, as I mentioned, on the wheels, and the bigger cab at the back as the fenders are going out. It's just the whole look. And if that truck was one color, some shiny, flashy one color, in black would be popular with it as well, it still would not get the look that you've got now going on. It's
Well,
a
I
very
appreciate it.
rugged, rough look.
That's what we were going for sure, and I think we achieved it very well.
Well, everybody, let's see how well they've achieved it. I wanted to put on one of the other videos from your Instagram where we can see the truck in action. Now you've got a few, so I can show this one first. We can have a look at the patina there. Shame I can't get rid of the comments. And the other one, let's see. I think I had it in your posts.
I think somewhere in there it shows the actual us doing it. It was on a stand. I don't know if I sent
Was
that
on a
to you.
stand. I had seen another one where it was actually on the autocross, I think. Unless that's
So
where you were
yeah, I didn't do the
tagged.
autocross. I was just on the we did the track ride, but
The track, okay.
yeah.
I mean, that gives us a bit more another look at the rust close up. And that's that extended bed you had done.
Yes.
And there is that
It's
box.
battered.
Oh, that's brilliant, isn't it? There we are with the interiors. The picture before doesn't do it justice because, as we can see, you've restored and put in a lot of the new interiors in as well.
Yeah, the only thing I didn't do on this truck was the upholstery. I mean, we installed everything, but the upholstery that was third partied out. But everything else was done in the garage and the shed.
That's awesome. Well, here we go.
Yeah,
I love this video. I watched it a few times. It looks brilliant. And I love that it's been lowered as well. Um, I've mentioned this before that with the classic trucks, when they get restored and then they get lowered, it brings a whole new class. They make their own brand. It's not even a pickup anymore. It's just a completely new, different car, in my opinion.
oh, I definitely agree. It gives that whole just that mean stance. That come take a look, come take some pictures with it. Ask me about what's
That's
going
it.
on.
That's it.
That's
It
the idea.
it takes it away from what it was originally built for, being for work, labor, you know, carrying tools and that kind of stuff. So that's what the pickups were designed for. They were for work. And now with you guys restoring these classics, you've just given it a whole new meaning. And like it's for cruising, it's date night stuff.
And they ride so good. Put some air on any type of suspension, and you said it just right. It rides like no other. It's definitely a good feeling.
So tell us about that. If you put the suspension in, the ride is actually different. Is that because you're feeling lower to it, or it actually is a different effect?
So you can adjust it, right? So you're riding on air, but you still have the shock, so it dampens it a little bit, and it kind of helps on the recoil of anything. Um, if you look at really any of the fast sports cars or the autocross cars, right, they're always wanting to adjust their suspension stiff, tighter, make it softer. Depends on which way they want to go. With air ride, you can do that on all four corners. So um, get that highway speed, and you can kind of bump it up a little bit, and it just feels like you're floating. So it's a great ride.
You know what I love, Mark, is every time you talk about this, it makes you so happy.
I can't get it. I've been picturing this truck for the last 8 years, and it finally came to fruition. I had some time, and I had some good friends to help me out. So I just everyone will always ask, is this one you're going to sell or whatever? No, I really don't want to. So I
No,
just
don't sell it.
I love it.
And contact me as well, and let's see where I'm at that time and see if I can afford to get it off you, because that's a mean truck. I do love it. I do love it. It's a great patina look to it. Now, tell us about Vintage Tin Customs, because that's written on the side of the truck as well. It's all over your Instagram. What is all that about?
So I knew when I wanted to get out of the Air Force that I wanted to work for myself, and I wanted to kind of put custom trucks that back on the road. I don't want to be the guy that says, I'm going to go out there and put all these old trucks on the road and just, overachieve. I wanted to build cool custom cars, something that was kind of different from what everybody else was in. Yes, the patina scene is out there, but I wanted something. I took a single wheel cab, made it a dually, right? Everybody still kind of can do that, but um, usually what you see is they already go buy a dually and just kind of customize that. I wanted to take something that's the stock chassis on it too. I wanted to say I took a stock chassis, it's still under there. I put this 2,000 pound engine in there, and it's holding. I definitely had to beef up the chassis on it, and I definitely had to do some stuff. But what to the every I'm not gonna I don't want to dog to every average Joe Schmo out there, but unless you actually look at what's going on in that truck, there's a lot of custom work. So putting that, like I said, that big 12 valve Cummings in there usually takes pushing that firewall back, and then you got to do a lot of other stuff. I was able to achieve putting that motor in there without touching the firewall. I did touch it to smooth it out
Nice.
and do some other things, but the motor sits forward. I've moved everything underneath the bottom of the truck, and um, to just the everyday person walking by, they're like that, that's cool. But someone that has actually customized these trucks and looked at it, they'll hone in on like, how did you do that? And that's what I want, right? I want to
Yeah.
spread that love and spread that knowledge out there. Going, this is how you do it. Let's start something new. So I wouldn't say I'm a pioneer of anything, but I took about 10 different ideas in 10 different ways and kind of put it in one.
Well, that's how it usually starts, isn't it? Now, I do remember the firewall. I noticed it as well, that it was very clean. It was
Yeah.
pretty neat. And I said, "Where is all your wires?" Because I couldn't see it. I couldn't see any of it. And you had it in front of the fan,
Yeah. I've moved
in
everything
front of
kind
the.
of up the fenders and kind of, well, let me see. The lights kind of come up the motor and then drop down below it so you can't really see them there. I'm OCD when it comes to wires. I don't care if you look at my house, you look at my shop, you look at anything. If I see wires, it's like a bowl of spaghetti noodles, and I got to hide it. So that was kind of one of
But
the
you did it so well, because I've seen a lot of clean firewalls. I've seen very neat ones, very flashy show cars and stuff, but you still, every now and then, you're able to make out exactly where it is. But with yours, I couldn't see it. I mean, it was all the way at the front, and it was hidden as well.
yeah.
So, I mean, that alone, I mean, well done to that, because that was done really well. The other question that I had is with the chassis. Now, you said you made that stronger in order to be able to support the frame and also that big block as well. What did you do with the chassis? How were you able to achieve that?
So from the engine mounts themselves, we from the very front all the way to the back, pretty much where the airbags ride, we boxed it in. We put 3/16 plate, plated that all the way up, and then what we did, we X-framed it, is what you call it. So a diesel is really going to want to tweak that motor or the frame left to right. So what I did was tied the left side to the right side, and that way when it wants to twist, it should push everything back on the back of the truck and put everything to the wheels. So there shouldn't be any twisting action or nothing like that. So um, what I like to tell everybody is I
Wow,
boxed it and X-framed it.
nice, very nice. So, coming back to Vintage Tin Customs, this is the stuff that you would be doing for people who are interested in getting the look that you've achieved with your truck.
So yeah, I don't want to say I'm a Chevy guy or a Ford guy or a Dodge guy, right? I want to take on everything because every one of them are a challenge to me. I've built plenty of Fords,
Good
I've
on
built
you.
plenty of Chevys, but I just I want to give customers kind of what they want, but I want to be that one-off kind of shops too. Everybody's going to have their own niche, and mine is just kind of taking something out of the norm and putting it on the road.
Yeah. So you'll be able to work on a whole range of different trucks, no matter if it's a Chevy or a Ford or a Dodge. You'll
Yeah,
be able to work on it, get it lowered, apply some mustard on it as well.
yeah. I wanted the idea of this was to have something that looks just like it's beat up. It's still from the 60s. It pulled out of a farm field. But if you look at it, it's all new sheet metal on the truck. It's all new undercarriage on the truck. I say all new, it's a stock, but it's been beefed up and modified. It's got a
Yeah,
very good powertrain. The inside's very good. Just that sleeper look, I guess you can call it. So
definitely. Definitely. I would call it the sleeker look. So Vintage Tin Customs, how is that in the operations? Whereabouts is it at the moment?
So we should be finished with the shop. I think it's around February. Now, the shell will go up here within the next, I'd say, month and a half. So I'm gonna start trying to get some stuff in there and kind of start pushing some stuff out here soon. But I'm just in a crazy transition period because I was doing it, like I said, in Louisiana, and we knew our forever home was going to be in Pennsylvania. So uh, I'm just in a transition period to try to kind of get it going. But um, once she's up and
But I
going,
mean, it's big goals, it's big dreams, and I love the fact that you did your time in the Air Force. You've come on, now you've just taken a whole other project, something that you're even more fascinated and interested with. You love doing this, and it just shows from the product of your truck. And that's what people are going to see. They're going to see that, they're going to love it, they're going to be drawn to it, and then they're going to find out how to get that. And that's where you'll be helping them with it.
That is definitely the plan, because everybody around here in this Pennsylvania, in this town of Pennsylvania, they've never seen it. They're like, "What is that? Why does it sound like that?" And it's a crowd pleaser. So that's what we're going for.
100%. And whereabouts in Pennsylvania will the shop be?
A town called St. Thomas. We're right over the border of Maryland. Um, the capital is Harrisburg, so we're about 30 minutes from the capital, and then we're about
Okay.
15 minutes from the Maryland border. A town called Hagerstown. So St. Thomas, Pennsylvania, is where we're going to be based out of.
St. Thomas in Pennsylvania. Well, I do wish you all the luck with the shop. Without a doubt, it's going to draw a lot of attention, and I hope you get a lot of customers with that as well. With your time in the Air Force, now I come back to this as well because I do love planes, and I want to show everybody a bit of my time at the Military Aviation Museum in Virginia Beach that I was there. I've got a lot of footage from everywhere. Wherever I go, I have my GoPro with me. And of course, I went to this museum and I was just in awe with all of the military trucks. I mean, they had the classic ones. I want to see if I can show you this and you can tell me or whatever you know about this as well. Let's have a look. This was a classic 1941 steering, I believe it was.
Oh, you're going to get in the Navy side of the house on that, aren't you?
Well, I just want to see if the viewers, if Rana's
Yeah.
Raiders viewers and my subscribers do enjoy that, because I do love planes. And I mean, I love planes and I love boats as well. So
I
anything
like
with
things that
big
land on
engines and big motors. Let's see, not that one. Let's have a look. Okay, make it bigger. Okay, you can see that. Let's play it. So yeah, there was me. This was earlier this year, and as you can see behind me, the planes are magnificent. And I just thought this is a great opportunity to show the viewers as well and see what people like. And of course, me being me, I decided to get inside one of these.
That's awesome.
This is it was a 1941 steering, and the pilot there. I love this mark. Did you see this? This was the whole engine, the propeller there was just exposed.
Okay.
Ooh.
All right. And
That's
we'll be
probably
here
how they
to,
started too. They usually grab them things and pull
catch
them
you.
down.
Catch me.
What was that? Sorry.
It's usually how they start them too. They'll grab the prop and they'll pull down it real hard, and that kickstarts it.
Yeah. They mentioned that. They did mention that. They said it was just easier access as well.
Yeah.
And now.
And that was cool. And me and my questions, it was great to see the gauges and
Not much.
sit in the actual pilot seat. So
That's beautiful.
So how big was the planes that you were working on?
So the first one I worked on was the C5. Like I said, that's the biggest one we have in the fleet. The tail section, just from the ground to the top of the tail, was 7 stories.
7 stories.
The cargo hold, where we take all the pallets and all the troops and stuff. The length of the cargo bay is what we call it, is longer than the Wright brothers' first flight. The Wright brothers are the ones that started aviation.
Yep. I did know that.
The,
Wow, that's brilliant.
The engines, I can stand inside the engine and kind of spread my arms around. That's how big they are.
Now, how fast would this plane
Wow.
go?
And could you imagine standing next to it when they get turned on? I probably won't be able to do that.
How high we go?
Yeah, it was intense. We got to work on like I said, we worked on the engine. We worked on everything on those, but that was the biggest one I worked on, and then we went down to the bombers. That was the B-52 maintenance guy. The wingspan on those is as long as the C5 as the cargo planes, but our mission on that was to drop bombs on people, not
I'm guessing.
Yeah.
drop cargo.
Yep. Well, I did see some of the bombers as well. So Yeah, everybody, let me know what you think about that. I do have the full video of my time as I'm walking around,
And we've got a
and
switch key that's on
the
off at the
aviation
moment.
museum here, the military aviation museum. So there was a couple of bombers and very antique World War I planes and jets. So yeah, if people like that, I'm happy to put that up. Just thought I'd share that. But look, Mark, I do appreciate this for coming on and sharing the truck again. It's always nice to see that. It's always nice to see it, and I'm glad you've got so much stuff on the Instagram as well. So that's a great place for people to come in and keep up to date with how the shop is going, and of course with contact details once the shop is up.
Yeah, definitely keep up with that. I've got a few more things I'm gonna be posting on there. I've been kind of slacking on it while this house is building, but yeah, I'm gonna be putting some more content up there. I've got a '76 Ford I'm actually getting ready to do. So cover your ears, Chevy guys, all of the Chevy guys. But I'll be putting actually a 2017 Mustang independent rear suspension in that. I'll be putting a Coyote motor in it and beef and all that kind of stuff up too. It's gonna be pretty cool. I got a Ford old Bronco I'm getting ready to do, and then I've got a couple square body crew cabs I'm going to be doing. So
Wow. So it's fair to say that I'm going to be seeing you at the car shows for sure, and I'm looking forward to seeing that Ford pickup.
that's the plan. So if you're ever in Carlisle, Pennsylvania, or Hershey, Pennsylvania, lots of big
Yep.
shows out there. So definitely look for me out there because I'm going to try to hit everything in the tri-state here to kind of get the word out. Drive that truck
Fair enough.
everywhere I can.
I was planning to come to the Carlisle show earlier this year.
Yeah.
It fell on the same weekend as Syracuse Nationals, which was in
Hmm.
upstate New York. And it was honestly, it was a last minute decision about which of the two I should go to. And somehow things worked out, and I ended up being in Syracuse in upstate New York on the same weekend that the Carlisle had their show. So, but yeah, definitely next year it's on the books. I would like to come out there and see some of the shows up in the northern states as well. But look, like I said, it's been an absolute pleasure, Mark. Thank you for your time. I appreciate you coming on and sharing everything that you have.
Thanks, Ren. I definitely appreciate it.
Thank you so much.